Hi everyone, welcome to this new episode of ChatGDG. This is a very special episode because right here we've got Giorgio, Director of Engineering at Mozilla Firefox. So we really up our game. The bar is really high now, right? And then, most importantly, we worked together. It was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago, just to be precise. And then, of course, our path. We took a slightly different path. But without further ado, I really would like for Giorgio. Can you introduce yourself, Giorgio?
Absolutely, but first thing first, I disagree. It's not. I'm not leveling up anything. I'm just
Yes.
Giorgio.
All right. Okay.
I'm currently the Director of Software Engineering at Firefox. I own the web extension framework, a platform, a development experience, community marketing and communication, localization for the entire Mozilla product suite, 18 products. Over there is a community aspect, there is the vendor aspect, and there is an ML-based aspect that we recently launched. Third area that I own, it's desktop integration. That means that every time that you open Firefox gets updated, or you install Firefox, or you see a notification, or anything interesting happen within the operating system, that's my team.
Wow.
That's what I do now.
Okay. You should be busy, right?
I think I am busy. I have an interesting calendar. I use color coding, and so my calendar seems a rainbow.
Yeah.
The problem is that sometimes it's a rainbow with several overlaps. But still, I think it's fun. I think it's interesting, especially because Mozilla does whatever we do, not with the idea of making profits, but with the idea of doing the right thing for the web.
Wow, so this is great.
Thank you. So, for instance, in web extensions, we released a different manifest. Actually, we're close to release a different manifest, and this is with the intent of protecting people from abusive extensions. That's all about. The difference between us and other vendors and other browser vendors, for instance, is that we allow ad blocks, the others don't. We think that ad blocks are good for people, but of course, they impact negatively our business. But who cares? The important thing is doing the right thing for the other folks. Similarly, in localization, we are contributing to the W3C standards. We have message format 2. We have the localization API in JavaScript that are initiatives on which I have 2 engineers deployed. And again, over there, it's how it works for the developers, not how it works for the browser vendors. That's all about Mozilla. It's all about people. All about doing things with long-term vision of keeping internet free, open, and fair for everybody.
Wow, this is beyond great. This is absolutely the dream of, I think, many people that are watching this episode. But okay, the Mozilla world is absolutely insane. But what was your path? Because I remember you years and years ago when you were still a very important figure at the time, was in the ActionScript community.
Yes.
And it's like 20 years ago, 15, 20, something like that, right?
When 15? You and I worked together, we were still writing ActionScript 3.0.
That's correct.
We were implementing a gaming platform. So 2011 was still there was still out of market for Flash in the gaming industry. But I think that the fade of ActionScript started in 2009 when I remember 2009 when they announced to stop the support for Android devices. That was the kind of big bad deal for the Flash player. But coming back to my part, I started as an individual contributor. Mainly working in Flash, because at the time, 2000, Flash was the only one that was able to do special things on the web. And from there, I opened my own company, and I started to have a shop where we had customers like Cartier, Dolce & Gabbana, Faye, Tod's, Karl Lagerfeld, all fashion brands. And we're doing a little bit of everything. So for Dolce & Gabbana, we did a J2ME game that was pre-installed on the Motorola Razr that was done with a brand of Dolce & Gabbana. So it was all gold with this DNG logo and our game inside.
Yeah.
So that was a unique thing, 2006. And for the others, we did website, CMS, CRM. We managed all the media aspect. And then when Flash started to fade out, we started to have some impact on our business, mainly because at that time, HTML5, JavaScript, at that time was still known as HTML5, JavaScript and CSS was not yet considered an enterprise development platform. So the rates were going very, very differently from the Flash platform. And that was not helping me to keep safe one of the principles in my company. That was, I pay you as you want, you work as we want. We had an employee manual. We had pretty clear practice. We were doing TDD. 2009, 2010 was pretty innovative.
Yes,
even
pretty
before
impressive.
GitHub, even before GitHub, we were doing code reviews. So with SVN. So really, we're talking about the prehistory of the modern web.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I decided to slowly close down the company. It took me 1 year and a half. We didn't let anybody go. We just let people know, if you get a new opportunity, take it. And we gave people time. And then I moved into the US. First thing first, I went to Boston, Cengage Learning. Cengage Learning is the second biggest publisher in the United States for college, for K1 to 5 students, a little bit of everything. And I did 1 year. Then I moved to McGraw-Hill Education, where I took a lead role. So I went from the owner of the company to a senior software engineer. That was a jump, definitely. Then I took a lead role in McGraw. After a couple of years, I moved to Akamai Technologies, when I was an engineering manager. And at Akamai Technologies, I was managing the team in charge of re-implementing all the web portals for security in such a way that were completely decoupled. So from JSP to RESTful API
nice.
And a single page application. Then Amazon called and I said yes. I went to Kindle, where I launched the international expansion of the rendering platform. We launched Indic, Arabic, Japanese, and Chinese in 2 years. And then at some point, I decided that it was the time to try something new. And I went in payments, and I discovered that one big thing about payments: a website can go down, payments cannot. It's too much important.
Yes.
And in payments, I was managing the payments method, regulations, and all the financial transactions for Brazil. That is one of the most important marketplaces in Amazon. I don't remember if I can disclose, but in any case, there are billions of transactions per year. And when I was there, at some point, given that I was in fintech, Capital One show up. Yes, and I took the lead of the intelligent experience team. I joined Capital One as a director of software engineering. And over there, I had a team that was in charge on enabling and embedding into the hand of the customers machine learning. How we can call it, because there were the machine learning models. There was the services. We were building the services to consume multiple models and making smart decisions for our customers. On top of the smart decisions, there was the Ino component. Ino is the interactive chatbot of Capital One, vertically focused on Capital One. And over there, I was managing the integration, the answer engine, and the integration of all the ML model. And when at Capital One, at some point, it's a great company. I'm not blaming at all Capital One. Actually, it's maybe one of the best I worked for. They're great. They really take care of people. But there was this company mission, banking for good. And I was thinking. And the big elephant in the room, the blue one that you see here.
Yeah, quite a few, yeah.
Was that at the end of the day, whatever I was doing was a benefit for people that already had money. because it's when you don't have money that you cannot access to banking, or when you have different situations. And I found this a little bit dry, especially because when I was at Amazon in payments with Brazil, I was implementing solutions to help people without banking possibilities to make purchases. I implemented Boleto Pix that were cash-based payments method. Similarly, there was a regulation that was giving access to privileged credit to merchants that were waiting to cash their sales. Basically, at Amazon, you get paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but
there's
what
a
happened?
buffer time.
Yes. What happened in the meantime? If you have a big deal that you want to close, and that was feeling rewarding. Like in Kindle, I know Amazon doesn't sound the most friendly, but in Kindle, we were spreading the culture and the knowledge across countries that didn't have that before. With Indic, we launched Kindle Lite for very low-level devices that were able to access content that they could never access in any case. So in Capital One, I was feeling a little bit dry. Yes, happy customers, but I can bet each of these customers have a job. Each of these customers have a banking account, for sure. They are customers, right? And then I decided to go to Mozilla. Why I'm saying I decided to go to Mozilla? There was an opportunity, of course, and I had to introduce. But Mozilla and I were in touch since 2018 or 2018.
Yes. Interesting. So was it already somewhat a long-term relationship, right?
Actually, the first relationship with Mozilla was 2013 when they launched Firefox OS. I organized for them the hackathon that launched the platform to developer in Italy, also the party that presented everything to the press. So we were in touch. Nice. And so I saw the opportunity. I said, you know what? Why not? I interviewed and I got the job. And that's how I reached Mozilla. And the reason why I like what I'm doing now is because also there is this community aspect. You and I get in touch because I was running a community in Italy back in early 2000.
Yeah.
That, by the way, was the biggest ActionScript forum in Europe. But we were only Italian, but still the biggest in Europe. And after that, I had the opportunities to launch new communities like Mobile Tea and run several conferences in Boston.
Yeah.
I ran DroidCon Boston, SwiftFest Boston. So the community aspect, it's very important. And operating in the web openly. So I can... I recently approved a pull request on our Android client. It's in an open repository. You can search for it and you can see that I approved one pull request. That maybe sounds ridiculous, right? Why a director to that, right? But still, it was so simple.
No, sure. I'm not saying that, but it's interesting. It's unusual. Let's put it that way.
Yes. And that's how I ended up to Mozilla.
Well, not a bad CV, right? It was a very.
You are too kind. You are biased because we are friends.
Yes, but no, because I really loved, working with you. We worked for a few months. Like you were a consultant. We were back at Eurobet, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it was Eurobet in 2012. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I've got 200 million questions, right?
Sure.
No, but the most important is, so as we saw, like different companies. So clearly, in Amazon was like working in a certain way, in Capital One in a different way, now in Mozilla in another different way, but then different roles. So I'm really quite interested for 1 second if we could focus about the roles. So from senior software engineer, so when you sunset your company and you become an employee, so from the senior software engineer to EM to director,
to senior EM to director
to director. Yes, so that kind of that kind of progression is it's not easy. I know I've done the first half and it's quite challenging, so I can only imagine how can be the second half in such great companies.
And so which is the question?
Well, actually, yes, that's a very good question. Which is the question? So it's not really a question. It's like, what are your thoughts, if that makes sense, because from senior. So first thing first, which was your favorite role? Is still the director role, or was it maybe a EM, or maybe when you were just an IC? What's
So
the idea?
the perfect work was Akamai Technologies. I was able to
Okay.
code 40% of my time and managing a team of about 10, 12 people. So a good sized team and doing interesting work with impact. So if we were messing something, we were messing the security of Sony, Amazon, Google. So really you can make a big impact. But I was able to have these 30-40% of time to code every day, that 2-3 hours. That was wonderful. Then the next question can be, why you left? Because two reasons. One, I was feeling that my career was moving a little bit slowly. Remember that I moved from being the owner of a company with about 21 people, serving important customers, acting as a CTO and main developer on many interesting projects. Then going back to an NIC role, it's hard. And you see things that you already did in your company. Maybe processes, maybe how you cut support deals with customers, or how you manage priorities, how you design a system. And you see that, you should do this, but I already did that. Yes, I can do it again, but sounds like a little bit wasting of time. So I was feeling that at Akamai I could have not reached the same level that I am now in that period of time. And the other thing is because going in other companies, it's a challenge. So I like to work in an environment where I'm not comfortable. So give me an unknown challenge, give me something ambiguous. The things that when you start to think about it, you say, why I said yes to this thing, right?
Start blaming yourself.
Yes, when you blame yourself. And that was the reason why I found myself joining Amazon without knowing that I would have led that international expansion, because the initial plan was for me having the layout team. That is the team that decide how a book page renders inside Kingdom.
Okay, interesting.
And I found myself looking at Japanese content and talking with people about how we should do rendering of Japanese books. That was really unconventional, I would say. Really interesting, but was fun. So I learned so much doing that. And when I moved to payments, it was even worse. I always managed services, but not at that scale. I found myself in the first 6 months literally being, imagine you have a doll in your hands and you just bam, get things bumped everywhere. I was making mistakes. I was creating problems, calling at 1 a.m. VPs to get an authorization to reprocess transaction. I did everything, all the mess, but I also did all the good things. I released in time fantastic projects, and that was, again, wonderful, because it was completely out of the box. Similarly, when I went to Capital One, I'm not a machine learning expert, and dealing with data scientists, understanding how to create a process to have engineering, data science, ML engineers working on the same project, but creating boundaries and understanding who do what, or projects like I remember we call it the welcome experience. 8 minutes from when a customer registers on the web to when they open the device. In that 8 minutes, we have to decide which additional product we should sell. And was interesting. There was risk management, but when they threw at me in this project was because they were not able to make a decision from an architectural standpoint. There were 4 competing architectures. We went with the 5th. That was a mix of 2 of them.
Clearly.
So it was literally, I remember when I was looking at this project, yes, I had some experience in payments, but fintech it's a huge domain. And I had risk management, I had credit consideration, data that were stored in legacy system that should have flow into the system in such a streamlined way that was very surprisingly that happened, and fix a deadline. So there was a deadline of November. It's the welcome experience should launch this new card, period. That is the other thing that I like. Working backward from that. I love working backward. Give me an hard deadline. Don't leave me without a deadline. Then I will cut corners, but I will get to the deadline. And that's brought me to change and go ahead. And that's why from what I thought that was the perfect balance between coding and managing, I went into a more pure management experience. That's how I would phrase it.
Wow. So a quick question about, because of course you mentioned like you needed to structure some of the teams. I would imagine you've done I don't know how many hundreds of interviews and whatnot. So the question is like, because if you ask me, I have a pretty good idea in terms of how to structure a product engineering team, because I've pretty much always been worked for product companies. But if you ask me how to structure a machine learning team or a DevOps team or maybe a backend team, I don't know. I have an idea, but I'm not that sure. So like, how did you dealt with that? Because as you say, data is different. So every of these domains is slightly different.
That's a good question. My approach usually is pretty straightforward. I don't pretend to know what I don't know. So what I do usually, whatever company I join, is asking in my first set of one-on-ones very standard questions. What do you like about what you're doing? How was your path here? And then imagine to have a magic wand. What you would change in your organization right now and why? And the other thing that I ask is, which are the opportunities that your team are losing because of the way you work with the current model? This gives you a lot of information. People, it's generally, new manager, it's super easy. New manager, they throw at you everything. All the frustration of the previous manager get transferred. So when you ask these questions, you get even too much input. And then you can fine tune and understand. For instance, if the frustration is how, in Capital one very simple example, the team were split back-end, front-end.
Yeah.
So we had iOS, Android, another iOS, another Android, one back-end. Well, guess what? The problem was the back-end team was serving 4 teams. I had 7 or 8 teams at the beginning, but to give you a scale, one back-end team was serving 4 front-end teams. How do you think that it can work? So simple change that I implemented right away was to redistribute the back-end people into the front-end teams and breaking up the iOS, Android, web division and having teams that were owning a specific area of the app.
Cross-functional. End-to-end.
Absolutely.
Yes.
End-to-end. Then the other problem was, okay, how you keep these people in sync? How you make 8, 9, I had 10, 11 teams. How you can make them communicating with each other? Because you reach the cross-functionality, the cross-functional aspect vertically in small silos, but not horizontally.
Of course.
Yeah. And then over there, I started to implement a couple of simple techniques. One was show and tell. That's how we called it. Basically, every week, one of the engineer was picking up something that they were proud that they were working on and showing to the team. No slides allowed, only code and neither demo. So or it compiles right away. I don't want to see a recorded demo. That was super interesting. 30 minutes, not time consuming. If you're working on something, you have to drive me through for 30 minutes on something. You don't have to prepare too much.
Yeah.
All the other engineers were super interested. We started to have a situation where people was also moving across team horizontally based on their interest. And at the same time, for me and the other managers that were part of my group, was an opportunity to understand in depth what the others were doing. That was unstructured and was working very well. Secondly, I introduced a WBR mechanism, weekly business review, completely driven by Jira. Jira was our tracking system, so it was very low time consuming for engineers. So they didn't have to prepare a report or things. We were looking at trends, bar down, bar up, team by team. We had an escalation label for escalations, and that again was crossing the bridge, because in that meeting I had also my product partners. So the product manager of team A was able to see what team F was doing. Directors were there as well, and that was one way I changed teams based on needs. Now, going back, for instance, to backend at Amazon, wow, that was a wild ride. Again, I found this team that was managing their backlog in a very effective way. They were basically saying every time yes, and they were working super hard, going also above the time that you should dedicate to your work. And over there, I started to introduce practices and models of proper sprint planning, a proper retrospective, a proper reporting sent out every week, capacity analysis, real capacity analysis, not, hey, how many people you have? 10. Oh, okay, that means that are 40 hours, so you can do 400 hours. No. Wait a second. Let's talk through. And I did a proper capacity analysis. I consider the time to learn, the time to be sick, the time to be out of office, an average time in meetings. And that reduced basically the available time to maybe 5 hours per day. Okay.
Yeah. If maybe it is a little bit of a stretch. Like, okay, 5 is a stretch, but yeah.
Yes, 5 is a stretch. 5 is a stretch, but Amazon engineers go there to code. If you keep them in meetings all the day, you will have a rebellion against you. Okay, yeah. So that was another time when I started to reorganize a team, and was keeping myself at a very high level, looking at the problems rather than trying to solve specific organizational structure. Giving a structure as from a process standpoint, then made the team adjusting and operating differently. For instance, then the team, when they started to see these processes that were lightweight enough to help them rather than to kill them, they started to raise challenge how we manage competing priorities. Give me an example. An external team asked us to do this. Fantastic. Let's build an intake process. And we had a very structured intake process. You have to open a SIM. In Amazon, they use a SIM. Simple. I don't remember anymore what it does. It's a lightweight version of Jira, work faster, but has maybe 30% of the features. So of course it works faster. The trade-off is big, let's say that. And was so structured with office hours, with a process to review other people's design. Then we were making a conversation with our product partner, product team, to understand, okay, do we want to support X? Yes, it's important. Okay, that's what you pay. If you support that, that's what you miss. So, and making all this clear, not just a random Slack message. Again, leveraging weekly meetings and office hours and a tracking system that was able to give me data. I was not saying, hey, we receive a lot of requests from outside. No, I was saying we received this month 6 requests, and the trend is growing because I had an exact number. That helped me to create some safety around the team and manage the organizational challenges. Because over there I had a team in Brazil, a team in Seattle, and QA spread around the world. So
time zones, yeah.
Yes. Well, Mozilla, I have people on the West Coast, Center, East Coast, London, France, Berlin, Italy, New Zealand. And
wow, yeah.
Canada. I have people also in Canada.
Okay.
So there are maybe only 5 time zones or 6.
Okay. How do you deal with all of that? I mean, those are people that are genuinely 9-10 hours, apart. Like how
Yes.
can you?
So I create windows where we can be comfortable to be online together. So, for instance, with the Europe and East Coast, we can have an overlap that starts from 9 a.m. East Coast is 9 a.m., maybe up to 10:30, 11 a.m. For me, on the West Coast, I tend to wake up very early, so I make myself available starting 6:30 a.m.
Oh wow.
So my team doesn't have big 6:30 for the first meeting. Usually up and running by 6. So they usually don't have too much of a burden. Of course, we kept that hours for cross-functional meetings, and everything else
Of course.
that can happen outside. Like
Asynchronously. Yeah.
yes. Plus, we also started. We have a good practice of working remotely and asynchronously at Mozilla. We do a very good and deep usage of documents and commenting on documents. So we use comments to really drive decisions and discussion. Less email, more comments on documents. And then we have also a very solid process for tracking what is happening. We have a weekly status on every epic that report what happened in the past week, what will happen in the next week. And we record every meeting. So guess what? If you cannot attend, you can always watch the meeting with the double speed because there is subtitles. So yes, of course, with double speed. Otherwise, you will feel you will have a very horrible day, right? But we make information available offline, and that's the secret to operate fully remote. Mozilla is fully remote. We have people all over the world. Oh, I have also people in Finland. I forgot one. One other time zone. Sorry.
Wow. Jeez, that's intense.
But it's fun.
No, it's fun. I've got no doubt. It is fun. How much input do you have and have you had? Let's take maybe the last three companies. Mozilla and Capital One and Amazon. How much input did you have into the interview process?
At Amazon, a lot. I was a bar raiser for Amazon. I did.
Wow. Can we explain to the people what a bar raiser is?
Yes. So the Amazon interview process, you speak with usually 5 to 6 people. Most of the people is from your team, and then there is an external member that is from a completely different organization that come in as a bar raiser, meaning review all the feedback, ask all the tough questions that should be asked, and can make a call about the hiring decision. So the hiring manager must agree, and the bar raiser must agree. If they don't agree, usually the bar raiser overcome. What is
I didn't know. So the bar raiser overcome the hiring manager. That's very interesting. I didn't know.
If the hiring manager don't escalate to the hiring manager, sometimes I got escalated up to the director level at Amazon. But if you are right, you are right. If you're wrong, you're wrong, right? The escalation are positive enough. So over there, yes, I was a bar raiser. I think I did over 360, 370 interviews. So I was able to influence a lot. Capital One, I had less opportunities of interviewing. Was a different time. Was pandemic. So pandemic at the beginning, you have these. Every company had this jump. We need more people, right? And then I said, yeah, maybe it's too much. These people. So it was different. At Mozilla, instead, I think in the past year, it's 1 year that I joined. I think already did 20, 25 interviews. So I had the opportunity to interview and also to give feedback to the director of talents, the head of talents, call him as they want. They search feedback from interviewers to understand if recruiting is structured in a timely manner, the loop, if the candidates that are coming are good candidates, because it happens sometimes that you find yourself in front of candidates that are not yet ready. Not that they're bad candidates. It doesn't exist a bad candidate. Yes. Exists a level of readiness for a specific role that is based on experience, that is based on many things. You can be a wonderful engineer, writing beautiful code, But if you never had an experience to work in a cross-functional team, also in a small one, how you can join a big company where everything happens cross-functionally? So yes, that's where my opportunities of influencing interview processes. At Amazon, they search a lot of feedback from bar raisers. Bar raisers are the king of the interview. It's
Okay.
But it's also hard to become a bar raiser. You have to
I would imagine, right?
You have to do a huge amount of interviews. I did around 100 before becoming a bar raiser.
Okay, so it's like a pilot. You need to have that many hours. Okay.
Not only, you have to interview people from every kind of job family. You have to be able to interview an ML engineer, a data scientist, a technical program manager, a project manager, a product manager, or an executive assistant, and understand how the different job level fit into the Amazon leadership principles. And on top of that, you have to be very concise on your feedback, because Amazon interviews are fast, right? So they interview a lot of people. So the feedback has to be super concise, to the point, and not biased. And to get to that, it takes time.
A little bit speechless, because I kind of like imagine that, of course, you need to go outside your domain. So yeah, sure, maybe it's ML and backend and web and mobile, but even going further than that, like interviewing product managers, or that kind of completely different roles. That's very interesting, because you are looking for something, I guess, agnostic, if that makes sense.
Yes. When you set up the interview, you decide whoever is taking specific competencies, and there are behavioral competencies, there are ability to deep dive into a problem, learn, be comfortable in the unknown. Again, that's the most hard attribute to have, whatever company. Right? If you expect to join, okay, this is the thing that you have to do. Goodbye. See you at the end of the year for performance reviews. That's not a big company. Big company, it's hard. You don't know exactly what is happening around you. You have to learn very quickly, because the team then will look at you to help the team to make decisions.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard indeed. Right now, as a director at Firefox, do you interview for all the roles, or would you jump in for certain specific roles?
Well,
So would you jump in for a junior role? Would you jump in for a mid-level role, or just the little bit more seniors?
If it's my team, also the student workers, I attend to the debrief and I ask the questions about all the feedback that is written. For every, no matter level we hire, I am the final interviewer. And if it's one of my referral, I defer to my other, my partner in crime, the other director of engineering in Firefox Desktop. Yes, but I'm on that. I feel it's important. So when you hire somebody, you are bringing somebody in front of your team, and that somebody should bring for the team, no matter what is the level, something that is unique, that you don't have inside. Okay?
Yes.
And if you don't look at that, if you don't use your experience of interviewer, of technical leader to make that call, then you risk to demotivate the team. Let's say you have, let's say that we have in a company where we have L1, L2, and L3 engineers, something like that. You hire an L2, and this L2 is not bringing anything more than your L2 populations. The L2 population will say, oh, why? And L1 will look and say, well, why? Right? And that is extremely detrimental. So hiring, it's essential to create challenges in the team and to make the team growing, scaling, learning from each other, and also to break maybe status quo that is in some way slowing down or impacting negatively the perceived value of your team. So no, I recommend everybody Stay on top of it. That doesn't mean that you have to run every interview, but at least the debrief. Be there.
Yeah, and try to see, what's going on. That's a very interesting point, right? Because I think sometimes people are too focused on the title. I've got 3 seniors, 2 juniors, and whatnot, which is, of course, you need to have a shape that makes sense. But also, what's super important, like who these people are. Like, can you imagine a team with all seniors engineers, all very vocal, all very, opinionated? That team is going to be a nightmare. Like everyone fighting each other. You need also different kind of personalities.
You need to embed people that is able to disagree and commit.
Exactly.
People that is able to raise concern, not for everything, but for what it matters. But you also need the vocal people that just raise concern for everything, because they help you to raise the bar
exactly.
of your team. So it's hard read the chemistry of the team, and it's hard to understand what is the missing element.
Yeah, it's very hard, but I think that just someone should go to the extra level and try to dissect like what kind of person that is, not just if that person is a good culture fit, has the technical skills, because at the end of the day, if you are for a software engineer, technical skills are important, but the soft skills are as important, if not even more, because you can train the hard skills. The soft skills is slightly more difficult to train them.
Yes, and you know what? You say the cultural fit. You saw me gasping. It's something that I don't like. So, if you are a cultural fit, first of all, for me, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, we are in a multicultural environment, so you have to align maybe with the values of the company, or maybe even better, if you have a different vision of how to accelerate that values or how to evolve that values. That's the kind of people you have to hire. If a person is a perfect cultural fit in your team, you're not making any wave. You have to make a little bit of waves. A team, it's like a family. Okay, let me try to do this parallelism. In a family, when you're a couple, no matter what it is, then at some point you might get a dog, a kid, that change the dynamic of interaction the two members of the original family. And then you add more, and it change again, and it evolve. And then you look at what it is, and you see that maybe it's tougher, but it's better. Similarly, when you introduce somebody in a team, if it's just, okay, another engineer, sit down, write the code, no big debate around the pull request, no observations, a perfect fit, the person that wanted to work exactly like this, then you missed the opportunity. Bring in the person that has the different perspective that can make your team improving and make themselves also learn how to be challenged if they want to change something.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good. It's always not easy to find the balance, right? Because that is a really fine-tuned exercise that, it takes only a few thousands of interviews, right? And then you will get better.
Yeah. Let me tell you a fun story. When I joined the Cengage, the manager that hired me, that made all the immigration process to have me, left. Not after I joined, before. So I found myself in front of somebody else.
What?
Okay. Yes. I say, wow, that's interesting. So I've been very, not very quiet, very cautious. Okay. At some point, I remember that manager opened the Skype chat with the previous manager that was in another company. And they started to message me. And the end message was, we hired you because we want you to be who you are. You know me. I'm vocal. I change things. I challenge the status quo, all these things. And I started to do that very intensely. To the point that I had a lot of fun, a lot of positive impact, also maybe a couple of conflicts. Not everybody is happy of seeing things changing. But when during the summer we did the most important release of Cengage, that was modernizing. MindTap was the name of the product. The CTO had a very big meeting with all the developers in Boston, all the other offices, and he gave a few envelopes to say thanks. Just thank you ticket. One went to a QA engineer that went above and beyond. One went to an engineering manager that was able to find and hire very quickly the team, and one went to me. Because I was the only one that, without a management title, made so many changes and improved the processes to bring us to the success. Of course, they hired me consciously, say, okay, this is going to make noise. And that noise helped to make a difference. Then great engineers, wonderful people to work with. But I remember I was working with Charlton was the name. We were the bug fixer, meaning that in the morning we were showing up, and every morning 2-3 bugs to fix. Boom, 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 one after the other. And always adding a test, and without breaking the build. And you know what? I broke the build. That's why I learned how to don't break the build. So break things, make noise, be yourself. Not everybody is noisy. If you're not noisy, don't force yourself.
That's a very good point, and exactly what you said. So clearly, when you find yourself like facing this new person, you were cautious. So you wouldn't let your true self, shine, because you say, okay, maybe they hire me. I don't know who this person is, because I think as far as you were concerned, that person could have said, no, sorry, we don't need you anymore, because you didn't start it yet, right? Yes. So I understand. So not because the point that I want to make, I think, is hopefully very important. You act as you act out of fear, because maybe you were the fear to be, I don't know, you were not feeling confidence to be fully yourself due to the situation.
Stefano, it was my first time being an employee. Never been employed before. I always ran companies. So I say, well, I don't know how it works, this thing. The person that brought me there was not, I don't think it was fear, was being very cautious and say, okay, let me try to learn and understand. But then as soon as you be yourself, whoop.
Yeah, no, exactly. My point is exactly that. Could have been fear, could have been try just to be cautious and whatnot. The point being is like, you need to be truly yourself, so you need to be comfortable, right? So you need to find a comfortable place in order to be yourself and not feel having the fear of being judged, of being rejected. I'm not talking about yourself.
No. But in general, you are absolutely right. And there is the side effect. Being truly yourself doesn't make you accelerate in your career. Period. Because being truly yourself means that you will challenge company habits that are there since years, because you have a different vision.
Yeah.
So then you have to learn what is important to challenge versus what can stay as it is. Because again, doesn't matter the personality, doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert. You may challenge things as an extrovert or as an introvert. There are different mechanisms. But if you are truly yourself, you will be at work and you want to see your company succeed, right? Otherwise, what's the point of going to work? You want your team to grow. You want to see your manager successful. You want things. And you will have an opinion how to do things. That most likely is different from the company. So learn what to challenge. Because if you challenge everything, you become noise.
Yeah.
Or unpleasant to work with to an extreme. If you challenge the right thing, then you will have also the time to go deep and challenge for real and change it. And never complain. That's my recommendation. It's so easy. Oh, I work in this team. They have an horrible process.
They.
Sure.
They.
Why they? First. Like second, can you tell me what you would change? Oh, I would change X, Y, and Z. Oh, that's a good conversation. Or people would say, I don't really know, but things must change. Okay, come on, shut up. So it's don't complain.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Challenge what it matters. Learn. how to a small change can make an impact, earn the trust, move next, solve the problems that you see around you in an iterative way. That's what I think that is important. And that's what I started to do as soon as they say, yeah, be yourself. I've been very myself. So at some point, we expensed the tricycle. So that's
What? You expensed the tricycle?
was important. Whoa.
Yes.
Was
Yeah,
the
fair enough.
most popular toy in the office. There was never without anybody on top of the tricycle. You were seeing people going around with the tricycle, standing in a meeting with a tricycle, coding from the tricycle.
So that thing
That's a
brought
challenge.
some value, actually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the team started to learn that they wanted to have fun.
Yes, interesting. Changing the mentality.
And
right?
from a very, very quiet office, it became a very noisy office with some people that wanted more quiet, leveraging headphones. Or at some point, we had a more quiet area and a more busy area, so everybody was comfortable. But it was became a very fun office. I remember the first time I was there was, oh my God, everybody's so quiet. How they can work?
Yeah.
Again, you worked with me, right? We were in meeting rooms, drawing and talking.
Everybody.
And then everybody was going somewhere, coding, and then we were starting again.
Yeah.
That part was missing. When you enter an office, you say, oh, it's so quiet here. I can, something is wrong. Why it's too quiet? Why people agree so much here?
Yeah. How many people did you promote in your career? Clearly, I'm not looking for the exact figure, but a ballpark.
No, okay, thanks. Because I was going team by team.
I know, because I know you, and that's why I need. Okay, let's clarify. Ballpark.
A significant number. For me, one of the most important things is understanding what your team members want to be and create a path for them. I never said to somebody that wanted to move from IC to manager, or no, you cannot be a good manager, things like that. No, if they want to do it, you have to support. They have to learn. I had many promotions. When I was in Capital One, I also had people being promoted to director within my team, from senior manager to director.
Oh, wow.
I had, in 2 years and a half, I had one IC that became a senior manager. I had another IC that became manager. Now he's a senior manager. At Amazon, I promoted people from L4 to L5, from L5 to L6. At Mozilla, I already did one promotion in 1 year, one directly through me. So now promoting is important. Again, a manager job is to understand the strength and you have to understand, first of all, the strength. The weakness you will learn along the way, no worries. And build on top of the strength. And understand what is that they want to achieve. There is people that maybe is motivated by compensation. You have to respect that, also if you disagree. If there is people that instead is motivated by title, then respect that as well. Or maybe there is people that just want, hey, I don't want to be promoted, but I want to do more. Why not, right? That's important. Listen, managers sometimes. Oh, I remember. I have the right anecdote for you.
Why? Yes.
At some point, one manager told me at Amazon, I was interested to become a senior manager. Oh, you need 2-3 years. I said, sure. Okay. To do what? I don't have a precise list, but it's at least under 2-3 years in role. But I'm already 2 years in role, so help me to understand. That was an answer that I found extremely stupid. I don't have a better word, because I may need 6 years, or I may need 1, 2, 1, or I may be ready. What about assessing, showing the gap, make me realizing the gap, because you don't realize your gaps, right? or it's hard realizing your
Yes,
gaps. You don't
it's
get all your gaps. Huh?
some of them. That's it.
Some of them, and tell me what is that you recommend me to do, because maybe to you writing a project for a roadmap for a 3 years project take 6 months, maybe to me 2 months, doesn't matter. So that's why I think it's important to listen, to understand the strength, and to be supportive, whatever it is. Make clear it can fail, but be supportive.
Yeah, I don't make assumptions. Assumptions
Absolutely.
are killer. Of course, I did, like I think every one of us, when I became a new manager. I assumed that that person really want to get to the next level. That person had no clue whatsoever. That person really didn't want it. So that was my mistake. That was my assumption. So then, when we had a clear, discussion, that person was in a different, of course, phase of their life, right? Everyone is on a different phase. So during that
Yes.
phase, that person had no interest on, getting climbing the corporate ladder. So I had
It's
to
absolutely okay. Yes.
respect that, and I also really apologize for my assumption that was completely, wrong. So now I'm trying to not do any more assumptions as
I
much as
have a sticker on my laptop that says assumptions are the mother of all the fuck ups.
yes.
Just saying.
Agree. 1,000%. Yes, because that assumption by definition is, say something without the any data, no, is any intel, anything. I think that maybe that thing is going that way. No, just ask. Especially we're talking about people. Just talk to the people, right? Just ask them.
Yes.
Clearly, not in a weird round way. Just ask them, what do you want to do, right? Yes, that's the
And
ask
let
the
me
right
go back
question.
on one thing. I used the word stupid in absence of less good words, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to course correct that
Yep.
because now I have the right word. That answer was lowering the bar of my expectation from my manager. My manager, whatever manager,
Yep.
should be able to understand that every person is unique. That's the most important thing. So there are no stupid answers. There are answers that lower the bars or doesn't meet your expectation.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, I don't know if you feel that way, but what I would add, of course, I was not into the situation, but if I can picture myself in that situation, probably that answer would have cracked a little bit the trust also
Oh, completely the trust.
between you two, right? So okay, I was a little bit on a deep uh,
No,
diplomatic side,
you were very
but yeah,
diplomatic.
it's like, what? You're like, you were supposed to be you are supposed, as a manager, supposed to be my mentor, my, the one who really helped me. And if you answer me like that, it's like, what? You don't even care about me? Or
You know how I present myself to my new team members when I join a new team. I say, imagine that I have a software. The more you use me, the more you will discover hidden features. So please use me
nice.
in any way you want. And you are definitely right. That answer broke the trust. Say, okay, then what I'm doing here, why I'm here. And in fact, I went to Capital One.
Guess what?
Guess what? Yes.
Consequences.
Yes. Yes.
Consequences. Do you run any more like community group now? Or
No,
right.
at this point, not anymore. I 1 year and a half ago. So during the pandemic, everything stopped, right? Then I
Yeah.
was close to restart. Then I see that now things changed a little bit, especially for conferences. That was my last phase, was running events with 400, 500 people, sponsors and so on.
Yeah.
The market changed, and I don't know yet what is the right format to crack the new market. But even more, during the pandemic, guess what? I did the thing that all the people in the world started to do. I started to run. Wow. And now I run half marathons, and that keeps me busy. To stay in shape for half marathons, it keeps me busy.
Okay.
I do usually 4, 5, 6 per year in the past year and a half.
Wow, that's impressive.
And that brings me
Nice
to
one.
run 70 kilometers per week. and it's hard to find additional time
No, I know.
on top of 2 kids and 1 dog.
Unfortunately, we still have this hard cap of 24 hours per day, right? So
Yes, we should
not much
extend
we
it.
can do. We should
36 hours. Yes.
Yeah. When you said I start doing what the rest of the world was doing, it could have been either running or I was thinking baking, because for some reason, I could imagine you bake bread and, just have fun
No.
with
I
some
didn't
flour.
start baking, but I definitely start to run.
Definitely start running. All right, Giorgio, it's like 1 hour. I know that how busy you are. I know, so I thank you so very much for this time with me. It was absolutely crazy interested. It was very interested. So I'm pretty happy. I hope that you had a good time as well.
I had a good time, Stefano, but I will not wait another 11 years to talk again with you.
Yes, I promise we will talk before 11 years. So yeah.
Well, that's a big range from 0 to 11. Come on. Let's say in 1 year.
Yes, deal. No. I mean, these things is keep going. ChatGDG. So ChatGDG will happily have you for a round 2, because of course we just scratched the surface, especially with someone with your CV. It's a lot to talk through. We didn't even talk about the days where you had your own company. I would imagine so many stories to share there. So yeah, we have already content for a part 2. Hopefully in 2024.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Giorgio. I appreciate that, and I wish you a fantastic day.
Thank you, and thanks